Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got one of the wildest debates you'll see all year. Dan Bilzerian, yes, the poker king, Instagram star, and millionaire playboy, facing off with PBD, the MAGA megaphone. And this one? It gets heated. Dan doesn't hold back, and PBD spends the whole time deflecting, dodging, and trying to spin his way out. Stick around. You're not going to believe what gets said in this exchange. Let's roll it.
Yeah, they wanted a reason to take the land.
I totally get it.
And they killed their own citizens.
But
and they claimed that all these people got raped. That was bullshit. They claimed beheaded babies. That was bullshit. Everything that they said was a fucking complete...
Dan didn't tiptoe into this. He came in swinging, accusing Israel of being a parasite and laying out claims about lobbying, foreign policy, and politicians putting another nation before America. And here's the kicker. Instead of addressing any of that directly, PBD immediately pivots. He throws out, well, China does the same thing. That's not a rebuttal. That's classic dodgeball. The issue Dan raised was about AIPAC, campaign money, and politicians being influenced. If PBD wanted to debate, he should have gone straight at the evidence, not hide behind, well, everyone does it. That's not a defense. That's an excuse.
More recent. I didn't really realize what a problem it was until recently, and then everybody was scared to say something about it. My brother told me, like, you can't say anything about it. They'll fucking kill you. Like, everybody basically said that I couldn't say anything about it. And actually now they're like literally like trying to like kick me off the board of my company because of those tweets. So like, shit. Yeah, I've definitely had a lot of like negative pushback, a lot of my Jewish friends, but I don't give a fuck. It's like one of those things where I know that it's the right thing. And the fact that everybody else is scared to say it makes me, feel obligated to be vocal about it.
Why do you think it's the right thing?
Because I know that they're a fucking parasite. Like, they provide the U.S. absolutely no value. They've done so many things that, would constitute, an act of war against us. I mean, USS Liberty, Lebanon Affair, I mean, I can go on and on and on and on and on. But, I think they knew about 9/11. I think they had JFK assassinated. The first thing that he wanted to do, right before he died was, make AIPAC a foreign entity, and not allow them to have nukes. And then all of a sudden, this fucking guy's dead. And Jack Ruby, who is Jack Rubenstein, I mean, it's just like, and then you just, I don't know, man. I can't ignore all the shit that they've done. They sold their secrets. Netanyahu lied to us about weapons of mass destruction. We fought all these fucking wars. My friends have died over there. Like, and I just look at what they provided us with, and it's fucking, it's not nothing. It's like a negative, it's not, even if they just didn't do jack shit, that would be, bad, but they've actually done things to hurt us over and over and over again. So like this whole thing of they're our greatest allies, just complete fucking bullshit. And, we send them $100 billion, then they send AIPAC $100 million, and then they distribute it to our politicians, and every politician is a little fucking AIPAC handler walking around and telling them what to fucking say and how to vote. And it's just like, look, I'll donate like $100 grand to politicians, and they call me up like, hey, you need anything? Like every week. I don't need shit. I fucking sit on my ass. I don't do anything. I don't care. I don't fucking break any laws. I don't need any favors. Like, I just gave it to them because I didn't want to see any more fucking retard, Democrats in there. So, but that's 100,000. Like, what does 100 million buy you? How many fucking phone calls do those guys get? And so like, I just know how it works. And the system is broken. Like, these people get into office and they don't have very much money, and they get out of office with fucking tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. It's not a fucking accident, right?
Is that an Israel thing, or is that anybody? Because China's doing the same thing.
China doesn't have they don't have an AIPAC. Like, Israel is the only one that has a fucking, like, a lobby in the U.S. fucking, giving these politicians money.
Okay, no, every country, the big ones all have lobbyists. They all have lobbying that they're doing.
Not in the U.S. They're registered as foreign entities.
Right. I mean, if you're talking about, are you going to the dual citizenship part with Israel, Israel?
That's another problem is a lot of our politicians have far more allegiance to Israel than they do the United States. I mean, that's a whole nother issue.
Dan remarked, not prioritizing America as a U.S. politician amounts to treason. That statement alone should have made PBD pause, but instead, he goes straight into dodging the issue. As soon as Dan starts voicing criticism about Israel, PBD immediately interrupts, downplays, and attempts to redirect the discussion, essentially framing Dan as unreasonable for even bringing it up. When Dan characterized them as a leech providing zero benefits, PBD didn't engage with the argument. There was no counter-discussion on policy or factual rebuttal. He simply said, China does the same thing, and swiftly moved on. That isn't a defense, it's avoidance. It's a maneuver people use when the topic is too politically loaded, or worse, when you want to appear daring, but backpedal to protect your donors or image. Dan mentioned AIPAC, asserting, we give them $100 billion, and they funnel $100 million to AIPAC, which then allocates it to our politicians. That was his assertion. Rather than responding with financial figures, legal counterarguments, or transparency data, PBD quickly glosses over it. Dan even contributed, "I donated $100,000 to politicians, and they call me every week." What do you think $100 million accomplishes? This should have led to an in-depth discussion on political access, lobbying ethics, and the influence of money on foreign policy. Yet PBD dismisses it by noting that every country has lobbyists, which is once again an intellectually lazy attempt to ignore the unique scope and implications of Dan's argument.
Why they did the dual citizenship? Do you know the history behind why they did the dual citizenship?
What do you mean?
Like, okay, so the whole concept of dual citizenship was because when Israel became a country again, they didn't want the people from here who wanted to go back to Israel that didn't have a motivation to go if they were going to lose their citizenship here. So that was the reason why they did it. It was kind of like, okay, you're your own country. We kind of need some of you guys to move over there to help the country out. Yeah, but I'm not going to go. Why are you not going to go? Am I going to lose my citizenship here? But you are. I mean, we don't do that. Every other country, I don't want to lose my citizenship. Well, okay, how about if we do this? How about if we allow you, just Israel, to go back to your country, you won't lose your citizenship? That was the arrangement at the beginning why they did it that way.
No, look, I get it. I have 3 citizenships. You know what I mean? I think it's okay. I think
What's the third one? I know Armenia, but what's the...
St. Kitts.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't have an issue with dual citizenship. My issue is when somebody is holding a U.S. office and they are putting a foreign nation's interest before America's interest, and they are favoring that other country. And so that, to me, is treason. Like, when you are a U.S. government official, your motivation should be to do things in the best interest of the government that you are representing, not 100%. Some other fucking foreign country. And that's the problem.
Okay, so, but go through it. So what is the solution? Meaning, if Israel's the enemy, then if let's just say you don't do anything and everybody in the Middle East unites to take out Israel, do you think the Middle East is better without Israel? And do you think the world's a safer place without Israel?
100%. It's not even close.
Okay, tell me why. Why do you think?
Give me an argument otherwise, please. But give me one argument why the world would be better off with Israel. Let's just start with that. One thing. Give me one thing.
Have you ever lived in the Middle East?
No.
I lived there for 10.5 years. It's a very, it's not as like here. You can sit here, you can be an atheist, you can be an agnostic, I can be a Christian, he can be a Jew, he can be an LDS, Muslim, no problem. We can coexist here. You can do that in Israel. You can do that.
I mean, not really. They're operating apartheid right now. So everybody's not living equally.
Not at the level of Iran. Not at the level of what Iran is doing. I mean, in Iran, if you're thinking what Israel is doing out of control, do you know how much money Khamenei's families made? Do you know how much money they've taken? They have 200.
I've never been to Iran, but I've been to Dubai, I've been to Saudi, like I've been to UAE. So like, and they're all Muslim. They seem to be operating fine.
I would say Iran's slightly different than, but go back to it. So, okay. So you think the Middle East and the world would be a better place if Israel didn't exist?
Yes.
Okay.
Israel's committed, so many terrorist attacks. They're stealing land right now. They're operating in apartheid. They're currently committing a genocide on Palestinians. Like, do you believe in the genocide they're committing?
I think they're fighting for themselves and they're defending themselves.
Do you think that's defense?
Well,
when 1,200 people died, and of which the 1,200 you've killed and admitted that you've killed a lot during, your Hannibal.
I would tell you this. The part I question where people who are Jewish can't stand when I say this, I don't know how you, Netanyahu, claim you have the best intelligence in the world, Mossad, and you didn't know that on October 7th they're attacking you.
They knew about it. They didn't. They wanted it to happen, so they had a reason to take that. They wanted a reason to take the land.
I totally get it.
And they killed their own citizens. And they claimed that all these people got raped. That was bullshit. They claimed beheaded babies. That was bullshit. Everything that they said was a fucking complete.
Let's break this down. Dan emphatically states they alleged beheaded babies. That was expletive. They claimed mass rapes expletive. They orchestrated this attack to justify seizing the land. Regardless of how contentious that statement might be, observe what transpires next. PBD doesn't contest it. He doesn't counter the assertions, cite references, or present alternative proof. Instead, he deflects by asking, "But have you ever lived there? Or what about Iran?" That's sidestepping, not rebuttal. Textbook deflection 101. Then PBD trots out a worn-out false equivalence. Well, can you be a Christian or atheist in Iran? Yet, Dan never defended Iran. The technique here is to critique Israel and suddenly imply support for every authoritarian regime in the region. It's a rhetorical misdirection meant to muddle the discussion. Dan even specifies visiting Dubai, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE, noting that Muslim-majority nations can operate successfully. PBD replies with, Iran is different, but fails to show its relevance to Israeli policy. Again, it's evasion. This incident highlighted the distinction between calling out injustice and dominating the narrative. Dan might not be a smooth political player, but he boldly spoke the uncomfortable truths. On the other hand, PBD resorted to shouting, interruptions, and demanding simplistic yes or no answers to morally complex issues. That's not intellectual strength. It's a staged debate. To me, Dan not only stood his ground, he uncovered how empty and repetitive PBD's arguments are when stripped of emotive context. If the goal is a safer world, focus on equity, occupation, and human rights, rather than questions that stifle challenging truths.
Not only was it a lie, but they committed all those atrocities themselves to the Palestinians and been caught doing it. In fact, they just got caught gang raping Palestinians. You know, how many babies have they killed? All the things that they accuse the Palestinians of or Hamas of or whatever, they're guilty of 100-fold themselves. And they've been doing that. Like October 7th wasn't the start of this. Like the start of this was Nakba. They've done so many different...
disagree. Yeah, I don't disagree.
Yeah, so I mean, this is not like, it's not like October 7th is like, it's all of a sudden they just came over there unsolicited and just killed people. Like they have been killing Palestinians for years and years, operating two sets of justice. You know, it's like they have the justice for the Palestinians and the justice for the Israelis. And if you read the Talmud, like, you know, if you're not Jewish, you're basically not a human. You're like, you know, like cattle. If a Jew is, you know, is killed by, you know, somebody that's not Jewish, then it's the death penalty. If a Jew kills somebody that's not a Jew, then, you know, you can't kill them. It's not the death penalty. Like they literally like segregate in their Bibles.
They're very protective of themselves. I don't think anybody can debate that. I don't think it's a...
Well, it's not the problem isn't that they're protective of themselves. The problem comes when you think that you're better than other people and you think it's okay to lie to anybody that's not a Jew. You think it's okay to steal from people that are not a Jew. You have two sets of standards. The problem with that is it allows you to rationalize anything, right? And human beings are generally self-serving creatures. So if your fundamental religious belief system allows you to operate in such a way that you believe there isn't consequences to stealing from other people, killing other people, you know, raping, you know, kids that are under 9 years old, like if you think those things are okay, then, you know, how are you going to operate? Because to me, like my moral code keeps me on track.
I don't think that's what it is. I don't think it's because you're saying it one-sided. You're not telling the other side of the story of what they're doing either. You're not saying what Hamas did. You're not saying what they did.
What did Hamas do?
I mean, from day one, when you see the rapes and the videos, we've all seen it. This isn't something
what rapes and videos?
But stay on this here if you want to continue with this.
But what rapes and videos?
But my concern when you're saying Israel's doing it, you're saying the other side isn't doing anything.
No, but I'm asking. There was no rapes during October 7th. They've shown no rapes from October 7th. They showed no beheaded babies. All that was all bullshit.
I'll send you stuff. No, there's plenty of stories. It's not all of them.
The Israeli articles that I saw recently said that there was only 2 babies killed. One was shot by a bullet, and the other one died in a hospital. There was no babies in ovens. There was no beheaded babies. All that was all bullshit.
Okay, so go back to the part when you said they think they're better than you. You believe that Jews think they're better than everybody else.
It says it in their Bible.
Okay, but you believe they're better than everybody else. Okay.
I didn't say they're better than everybody else.
They think.
According to their scripture.
Okay, but what if...
And if you look at how they operate, right, like they literally caught people raping Palestinian prisoners, and there was riots. But the riots weren't because they were raping the prisoners. The riots were because they felt like they had the right to rape the fucking prisoners. That's why they almost had a fucking civil war, because they felt like they had the right to rape these prisoners. They felt like that was okay because they weren't Jewish. So, you know, when you have a society that operates like that, you're going to have fucking problems. And they're not the fucking most moral army. That's all fucking bullshit. And, you know, everything that they say, it's just like almost like, listen, when somebody lies to me, like if you lie to me, I'm not probably going to trust you again. You lie to me a second time, I'm definitely not going to trust you. You lie to me a third time, and I let you lie to me the third time, I'm the fucking idiot. These motherfuckers have lied like 10,000 times. So, like, I don't believe anything they say anymore.
I come from a place of, I don't sit here expecting you to tell me 100% the truth. I don't sit here thinking, yeah, Dan's going to tell me 100% the truth with whatever he has in his life. I don't expect that from you because I don't expect people to walk on water. That's not my expectation. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to live it with my life, but You can't think that China's going to tell us the truth, or Iran tells us the truth, or U.S. tells everybody the truth, or you think any country is going to tell us 100% the truth.
But I don't know, man. I got a different moral code. Like in gambling,
It's not about
but in gambling and business, like with my friend group, like you lie one time, you welch on a debt, you do one
You're
thing.
talking friendship, though.
I'm just saying, my friends, people that I know, people that I do business with, people I gamble with, like
it's the same thing I have as well. It's the same thing most people have. There's a difference between on the personal side than on the countryside.
Here's where it gets really interesting. PBD attempts to divert the discussion into that ambiguous, dismissive space, the every country deceives excuse. He literally questions, do you think China is honest? Do you believe the US is? As if he's saying, sure, they lie, but so does everyone else, so what's the big deal? Dan isn't buying it. He counters with a straightforward yet impactful retort. You deceive me once, I lose trust. You do it twice, we're finished. That's a moral compass. That's a standpoint. Regardless of how you feel about Dan, that level of sincerity strikes a chord because most people, average people, connect with that. We've all experienced being lied to and expected to carry on as if nothing's happened. When governments do this, deceive, cover up, and still demand unwavering loyalty, that's betrayal on an entirely different scale. This segment highlights a glaring double standard when it comes to our perception of morality. Dan says, if this occurred in my circle, you'd be done, while PBD argues, well, that's just the nature of geopolitics. That's how nations operate. Seriously, that's not a justification, it's indifference. To me, that's precisely why injustices continue. When we lower the moral standards so much that ethics become negotiable as long as they're cloaked in nationalism or excused by some supposed greater good. So, let me ask, why is it that whenever someone points out wrongdoing or corruption, the immediate reaction is always, well, what about the other side? Why can't we just acknowledge? If that occurred, it's wrong, end of discussion. Share your thoughts in the comments, especially if you've watched the entire debate. Were Dan's assertions over the top, or was he simply voicing those uncomfortable truths most shy away from? If you found this analysis useful, remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. As always, catch you in the next video.